in Cali, it started to pop. Stewie and Glue placed you in the dirt. That was part of the plot. You showed growth after being watered. Now they can market your stock, but this corn rose to get picked by me in Kansas. Smack just out here harvesting crops.
What's up, everybody? This is a Let's Talk Battle Rap podcast for the Deconstruction series of this podcast. I'm your host, Tim Nelson. A.ward, what's up?
Not a whole lot, man. You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks again for taking the time.
No problem.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, man, is you've done this before. You got your whole Run That Back episodes on YouTube. So this is something kind of deconstructing is kind of something that you take seriously already.
Yeah. Actually, I really enjoy it. I write that way, and I like to go back and kind of just give the consumer a little bit more insight into what went into the rounds and some of the stuff they may miss, because even as a rapper and someone who considers himself to get most of what happens in battle rap, I miss a lot of things too. And so I just think it's a neat way to kind of connect with some people on a more on a deeper level.
Like, I knew you from the St. Mike's battle, and so I already had you like coming in as the favorite, and I was excited. I was already a fan, but it was interesting hearing you talk about it and saying how, you know, to most of the people in the crowd, you're the new guy, and you got to win them over to kind of get them on your side to win this battle. And do you find that as being one of the harder things to do in battle rap, like it just being even at the level you're at now?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things. Every battle is just so different. And as a rapper and someone who takes my craft serious, I find that the actual battle itself, you know, and just memorizing the bars and getting through the performance is somewhat of the easy part for me. It's just kind of having to deal with all the intangibles. And, like, I would say that was probably the most nervous I've ever been for a battle, just because of, you know, who was hosting it. Who I was there. I had never been like to a battle rap event before, other than the battles that I had been a part of up until then. Yeah, it's not like that I was used to just seeing, you know, Pat stay or taking pictures, or, you know, like I was like I traveled around and been to these things and seen these people. Like, these are the first time I've ever seen battlers that I've been watching for a decade in person, you know?
Right. So that's gotta be,
the nerves.
That's got to be surreal, just even as a fan, and then you add on the fact that you got a battle too.
Yeah. So then taking into consideration that franchise had just battled, I can't remember the dude's name from Detroit, but he had just battled the guy from Detroit, and like in that battle, you could just tell like he had all of his people there, and you know the kind of vibe that it was. So I was like, okay, you know, this is going to be my first road game, and not even just my first road game, but he's from that area.
Toronto,
so it's not like it was like. It's not like it was I was from Kansas City and the other guy was from, you know, Philadelphia or something.
Right. So this battle, maybe a little bit of background. Bar Fights Battle League, I'm not real familiar with. Have they been around for a while?
No. I think this was their actual first like full event. Yeah. They had a couple battles drop on their channel from events, like from one event in the past, I think. But I think that the card, like, they only ended up having 2 battles that night or something. So I think this was their first, like, event where there was, like, at least 4 battles.
Well, hey, they struck gold then with you guys getting on this card. And the amount of views that they've had, considering they have no subscribers, essentially. So, I mean, people talk about, right?
Yeah,
and so
like
people talk about getting views from the mud. I mean, it doesn't get, you know, it doesn't get dirtier than this. So, anyways, so your first round, you talked Geechi 3-0. So why did you decide to open it up that way? Yeah,
so you know, leading up to the battle, you know, even Gotti did some interviews on Angry Fan. People did. There's a lot of media. Champion did, you know, and basically the you know, he's obviously a very popular name, more popular than me. Like I said, we booked the battle in April, and he wasn't that hot at the time. But then he come across 3 straight wins, and then next thing you know, he's literally like top 3, you know, since Twerk fell off, talked about battler in the world. Everybody's just on Twitter, Instagram, on the media things, and every single one I listened to didn't give me a chance. Like, which is so ridiculous. Like we just said, like I come with 3 rounds every time I can rap, you know. Like, but it's just, it was the bias. I mean, they were just all in on drinking the
right,
the Geechi Gotti Kool-Aid, or whatever it is, like that. I mean, everybody was just, and so that's what it was. It was all Gotti 3-0. He's gonna come in there and kill A.ward. This, that, and the
let
third,
me ask this then, real quick.
So
what is process? Because this is the part to me I find really interesting, because I transcribe a lot of battles because I'm infatuated with the fact that people like yourself can come up with the things that you come up with. You're very clever, and I heard in an interview you said you'll have lines and you'll run it by people and you'll say, you know what, does this line work? Do you get it? And if people don't like it, or there's something that they don't agree with, you said, I know I'm creative enough to just throw that bar out and just come up with something else. So how does a bar come to you? Do you sit down, did you sit down and be like, all right, I got Geechi Gotti. I'm going to sit down with this pad and pen and I'm just going to write until I'm done with the round? Or is it more just like kind of random bars you kind of thought through the day and now you just got to construct them around your opponent? Or is it a little bit here and there? How does that work?
It differs. When you're booking a battle like with Gotti, and you're 3.5 months prep, the last thing you want to do is just sit down and write your rounds, because I'm not going to wrap my rounds in my head for 2 months, and then get sick of them, hate them, and want to change everything up, so writing too far ahead of time can be detrimental to your performance and your energy.
When is a good amount of time?
So I like 6 weeks prep. That gives me, usually about a week to kind of brainstorm. And then I kind of go in, get my rounds written in the next 3.5 weeks, and then use the last 10 days to basically just work on my performance and then tighten up.
Now, can I ask how you work on memorizing it? I've heard different strategies from different people. Some people just kind of rap it to themselves, whatever. Some people record it, listen to themselves, kind of on their speakers until it gets in their brain. Is there a certain way that you go about memorizing lines?
Yeah, I don't write anything down per se. I'm not like a pen and pad person. Sometimes I'll jot ideas in my phone or, different rhyming words, and then I just kind of memorize it as I write it. So I can have a half of a round done, and, can literally just be rapping that half of a round for the whole, 3, 4, 5 days, and then finish the other half and then have it all. It's basically when I finish it, it's memorized, Obviously, I've been in a few battles where the time was a little bit different, so I had to just kind of sit down, write it all out, and then just read it over and over. But the process that I'm more privy to is, just kind of thinking about the ideas, writing stuff down in my head as I see things, as I watch things, as I'm inundated in the culture and communicating with the, just the scene and coming up with creative ways.
That's dope. That's really dope. So. Okay. Yeah. That's something that I've always wondered. Now, the other thing with the writing process is, if we're going to be real, I could decide to be a battle rapper tomorrow. I would never do it. Right. But let's just say I decide to do it. I don't care how many months prep I have. I'm not going to be able to come up with anything near the level of what you have. So what do you think it is that separates you from other battle rappers to make you kind of stand out and do bars that work as well as they do?
The passion side of it, I can't really explain the wittiness and the clever side of it. I don't know why, and it's always been this way. And it's my whole family. My older brother's a rapper.
Right.
My dad is one of the most wittiest, dudes I've ever met. My whole family. And that's growing up, just always having to have a comeback, hanging out with people, joking, always having to be on your toes when it comes to just, little quips and little sayings or whatever. But then as I became, a hip hop fan, and I listened to punchlines and I listened to the creativity and I started watching battle rap, it's impossible to look. I would hate to look and see somebody do something at such a high level and say to myself, I can never do that. If that's the case, I'm not going to even try. That's just me. I'm not just going to go out there and be okay, let's, it's a bucket list type. I'm just not that kind of person. So I just think that, studying it and just trying to be the best and trying to see, seeing what makes people the best. And then, Practice, man. Practice makes perfect. I tell people all the time. Really, what sells a whole lot of it is the performance, the being very polished, your delivery, your cadence, all that stuff can sell. It can make C material look like an A+.
Interesting about that is this morning I watched one of your battles that is not on Verse Tracker, and probably rightfully so. It's not like a quote unquote real battle, but it was the one about giving up versus
holding on.
The holding on guy came back with a pretty fire rebuttal. He was talking about sentences and being stuck behind bars and stuff like that. And it was good. As soon as I saw that he was starting to rebuttal, I was like, okay, what does this really be? And he came back with a line that was actually really damn good. But it didn't do anything for me, and I think it was because of like what you're talking about. It was the delivery of it. The
delivery, the conviction, like you said, that's a lot of stuff that Gotti succeeds in. That helps, what a creative mind, and we're all so creative in different areas, and it's not fair for me to judge somebody like Gotti and say like you can't write like me, I can't write like Mickey Fax, we are creative minds and we're so good at certain areas, but at the same time there's things he does I can't do, and so his conviction, his realness and stuff, it takes material that is surface level, as far as creative writing, and it will make it pop, and it will make it, it'll turn it into a haymaker, turn it into something that's just really, really good, I
think there's a fine line that battle rappers have to walk where it's like you want to have something that's more than surface level, something that fan has to listen to a couple times, to like kind of catch, to be considered like an elite pen sort of thing. But on the other hand, you also want something, you can't have an entire battle set up that way, because if you're just going over everyone's head the entire time, no one's going to care and no one's going to want to watch you again. So there's this fine line. How do you balance that?
You battle DNA, and then you see the crowd sleep on some of the most amazing material you've ever written in your life. That was pretty much it for me. I was like freaking double scheming and putting together some of the most craziest stuff I thought I'd ever written. And then literally got crickets, and then the next line I said, "You battle every 2 weeks," and the whole crowd erupted. And that's the one thing about battle rap, and there's a beautiful thing about this is why I prefer the way that I've been battling. If you look at the crowds that I've battled in 16 battles, they're all different. Like there's very few crowds that you can say, well, that's the same sort of crowd that he just battled in front of last time. I battled in LA in front of a bunch of Russians and a bunch of people from California. I battled in Australia, London. I battled in Toronto in a smaller room against Cortez. I battled in Toronto in a main stage against DNA. I battled in the Midwest as, the only white person there in front of like what would be considered a more culturally hip-hop crowd. So the beautiful thing about it is being able to write for your crowd and being able to entertain people that don't look like you, don't talk like you, and so that's kind of like the pride aspect of it in it for me is like, I would love, still to a bucket list thing is to go rock out at URL stage and be like, yo, I can do that crowd. I can do this crowd, because there are some battlers who they need to be in their niche, like that's when they are the best. And outside of that niche, they're just kind of like, okay.
I think that's a really good point, because at the end of the day, you got to entertain. And to do that, you have to know who your crowd is. And that's the kind of hard thing about it. And especially going in front of Peanut, in front of a bunch of Russians, did you have to kind of cater some of that to that? I mean, was that part of the thought process?
Yeah. Yeah, you pander to the crowd. I mean, I don't like people that over pander to the crowd, like I try to throw in, a few things. I mean, I'd be, obviously I went to, about Peanut, I spoke in Russian in my first round, because I was just like, hey, like let's grab them up front early, in London, I obviously had a few London lines. In Wichita, my first round against Geechi, the number one battle rapper in Wichita is currently locked up, so I ended it with like, take Geechi Gotti and give us him back, because I knew that was going to just be a crazy closer, Yeah, and that's a vet move, I know I'm kind of, kind of still in, but that's, these guys, like Cortez, math, DNA. You know, you go to a place and you literally just look up across street, you know, and you can just be like, you know, I forget who said it. It might have been Jim's. It might have been somebody, but they came from out of town and they were like, I'll leave his head on such and such and his legs on, you know, and just throw in the other name, you know, the other street that everybody knows in their hometown. And it literally is a haymaker, you know? It's like, oh my gosh, he knows we have freaking, you know, 7-Elevens. Oh. You know, like you mentioned the gas station or you mentioned the, you know, and it's like, so yeah, you know, you got to use those. Those are like like a Mario Kart when you get the little box, you know, that's like your little superpower. You're just riding around and then you're like, all right, I'm getting ready to mention something.
That's that,
you know,
red shell, like that heat shell. Yeah. Yeah,
it's the red shell.
Absolutely. So okay, so with this Geechi Gotti battle, sorry, I've gone off on like 75 tangents. I'm just really happy, you know, to like be able to talk to you. I got a lot of questions, but is there a specific round you wanna go through? I feel like I could keep you here all night if we went through all of them because man,
hilarious. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I mean, I love all three of my rounds. They're all three very different. I didn't have one picked out necessarily.
Can we talk about the third round? And this is really why I want to talk about it. So, my brother went to seminary. I grew up in the church, all that stuff. My brother went to seminary.
Okay.
My sisters, really big Christians, and I sent them second half of your third round to them. And I said, I just want to see what you guys think. They've literally never seen a battle rap. Ever, like even a second of their entire life. I said, I just want to see what you guys think. Both came back and they were like, it's amazingly powerful. Actually, I want to read something that my sister came up with, where she said, why does A.ward think God put him where he is? Is it to preach to other rappers and listeners, or is it to show them another side of Christianity that is not stereotypical of society? He is just like them, and he has a faith in God. Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, man. I mean, she hit it on the head. Like the second part of it is, there's such a false view of what it is to be like a Christian, and it's just because like one, you can look at it as like it was something that was shoved down your throat your whole life, and you didn't get to get out on your own and learn things for yourself. And two, you can look at it like, well, people are self-righteous and they say that they're all this, that, and the third, and the next thing you know, they're having affairs and they're, pedophiles and stuff like that. And you'll literally internalize every bad thing, and the biggest thing about being a Christian is one, that you're human, and two is that, really we're just called to love God and love people and not know it all, like I don't know it all. You know what I mean? And battle rap is such an area where there's nobody that had came in and boldly said, like, yo, I live for God. We can kick it out. Like, I'll buy you a drink. And so I feel like that, yes, God has like literally told me, he's like, he's not sending me into battle rap to save people. That's his job. Like he's not sending me into battle rap to preach this most glorious sermon of all time and, get people to turn from their wicked ways. He's literally put me there to just show people that, hey, like, you can call me. I'll pray for you. You need anything. Like I'm just here to love God, love people, and compete, And it's been super dope, and people can see the genuineness. Just like you can see the genuineness from Gotti when you're like, okay, he probably really will shoot me in the face. Right. Yeah, I believe that. Well, people can see the genuineness, in your interactions and your fellowship with them, at the events and different things too.
So I'm guessing the reception, because the reception online is really good, and the fact that you're a Christian. Okay, so you have an uphill battle to climb just as a battle rapper. But to be a battle rapper, I'm putting air quotes up, a Christian battle rapper, you got an uphill battle with a backpack full of, bricks in it, and it's going to be that much harder. And so I saw in an interview, you had said, kind of debating if this was the right way to go. And then I want to say it was the owner of the Connects League. Kind of, you guys had a discussion and you prayed on it and everything, and that kind of helped you decide.
Yeah, you know, seeing Saga and Street Hymns both at the time had already jumped in, and seeing kind of like how they were approaching it. I'm not a young guy, so not a lot of people know. Like, I'm about to be 33, so like
Right.
I'm the same age as your Charlie Clipses and stuff like that, you know. So in going into battle rap and knowing that I was going to be around lifestyles and different types of things that maybe at 24, 25, I personally wouldn't have been able to handle and not falling into, you know, like I felt like the timing was much better because one, I have a group of friends and accountability. Two, I'm stronger in my spiritual walk. Three, I'm more mature as an adult. I got bills and stuff, you know, like I couldn't imagine being 23, 24, flying to different cities every month and rapping in front of a bunch of people and being some single Christian dude out here. Like, you would just see me out, like, there ought to be stories out there, like, hey, one got such and such pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, I've been a knucklehead, you know? Like, I'm just being honest, even as a Christian, because I just wasn't there in my maturity, you know? And I'm not saying that to say, hey, I got it all together now, you know? But I'm saying that, like, the fit for battle rap and what I was doing and where I was in my walk with God and who I had around me and seeing the other Christian battlers, like, after praying about it, it took one battle, bro. I told myself after, like, the first two battles, if I'm not good at this, then, you know, I'm cool because I don't need another hobby at 30 years old. And it literally took one battle, and everybody that knows me and has seen me been performing and rapping for 12 years were like, that's your lane, bro. Like, it's a good feeling.
Right.
It's a good feeling whenever you're like, yo, that's where I'm supposed to be.
And I wonder if part of it is the age, part of it is the maturity. One of the things that I think of while you say that is Twerk. And he's a young guy. I mean, he's what, 24 or something like that. And here's, to me, this is the amazing part, because I think of battle rap as being very niche, and it's a subculture of hip hop. And so it doesn't have, you know, you guys aren't on TV in big videos with $1,000 budgets and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, there is definitely a fan base and a very rabid base. And they will absolutely give you all the love in the world. And you can kind of see something like with a Twerk or a Chess, where it's like they came up really quick. They're really young. And that's a lot to handle, man. That is a...
Yeah. Oh, and not to mention, like, I mean, let's be honest, you know, I know for a fact Twerk has kids, you know, or at least a kid, you know. And so a lot of these people, like, you know, that battle, you know, they got so much other stuff going on. And battle rap for them is sometimes an escape, you know? And when life is so hectic and you're able to go out and you're able to escape and write and perform and get away from all that for a minute, you know, like, it's a lot harder for you when that escape is becoming something that's more stressful and something that's harder to put up. And now the fans that loved you yesterday are tearing you down on every social media and stuff like that, you know? So it can be a volatile environment as well. But like you said, like at the age 23, 24, 25, you know, we like to think that we're grown. You know, I had to grow up quick too. You know, I didn't have, you know, a lot going up and different things like that. I wasn't, you know, in the Brady Bunch, you know, like I didn't have, you know, but it's just, there's just things that, you know, that at that age still, it can be very difficult to try to juggle, you know, that popularity amongst all your other responsibilities.
In your third round, you start off with the rebuttal, and I think your rebuttal game is crazy. As you say, you have had, dude, the one against Cortez where you talk about Real Deal in it. Oh my God, I spit out my drink, man. That was incredible. Is that something that you've had to continuously work on?
Yeah, and it's also something that I'm like, man, I want to be so good at it. And the best way to be the best at rebuttals is to only rebuttal when it's gonna hit. You know, like, and that's even in this Geechi battle. And what was the other battle? I think DNA. I started off. There's rebuttals that I had, you know, that were clean and didn't hit like that. You know, and so you know, you can learn from every battle, but you know, in the Geechi battle, obviously the third round, I start off with a rebuttal, The rebuttal is, I won't say it was premeditated, but it's something that I had, it's a verse in my head that really applied to something that he had mentioned in the last round, and I was like, okay, I know
So
how to
you
flip
already
this
had
into
Isaiah
a
43
response
in your head
to his
you
bars,
go. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's my like Isaiah 43:2 is like my life verse. Like that's like if you ever hear me speak anywhere, like Isaiah 43:2 is normally used when I'm speaking, and I just think it's so pertinent to a lot of situations. So, when he came in the third and he mentioned trials and where was God, I'm like, well, if somebody asked me at church, where was God, I would take them to this verse, So I had that verse tucked for a specific topic like that. And so I start off with the rebuttal. And another reason I start off with the rebuttal is because I knew what the first bar of my third round was. It was a complete game, a complete like game changer, right? So I'm like, this rebuttal is not a high energy rebuttal. This rebuttal is a very solemn, dope, get you to think rebuttal. And then I'm going to flip the whole script, with the first. So I'm like, yo, this is a perfect rebuttal for the third because it's changing the tonality of the third. It's basically like, okay, think about this. What about this? And then everybody's like, And then I start off like, and then it's like,
right.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
I don't know if like the crowd really
coaster.
thought that you swore there, but they were going nuts. They were. So I was glad that you like brought it back and were like, Geechi, use a bit aggressive, bro. Tell me about take me through that round a little bit. So you think it's difficult to write how you write? Keep it real, G. I bet when you was running base in the field, it was nothing to slide into metal like steel cleats. So you got a baseball scheme going right away. Now, how do you come up with something like that?
Well, every battle, I tend to try to kind of flip around some like, maybe 2 bars of like, what you do is kind of easy, and actually, with that bar, like, that's actually a really dope gun bar, when I was running base in the field, it was nothing to slide in with the metal, like steel cleats, like that's just a fire bar. It's really just tucked. It's really not tucked to be a fire bar or a haymaker. It's really to show like, I could write those things all day long, literally one after another. I could write them, and I could battle next week, and I could do 100 more, So this third round, I knew I wanted to do some different types of angles in it, and I didn't want to be like heavy on the, Crip and, talk about him in jail necessarily. Like, I mean, I did it in the end of the round when I was using that angle, but I wanted to kind of go at it from a different angle. And so I was like, here's what I'm going to do for the third. The first half is I'm going to literally build up the fact that he can't rap as good as me. And this is battle rap. Like he doesn't write as well as me. He can't rap as well as me. And this is battle rap. It's not battle image. It's not battle character. It's not battle believability. It's battle rap, And so the first half of this third round, I'm going to show that I could do what he does. And then I'm going to go into different cadences, and I'm going to go into different, types of things, and kind of bring it full circle before I end it.
Like wing sauce. How did you come up with that?
It's funny. So I'll tell you exactly how I came up with it. Right? I came up with it because when I was eating wings, my first thought was a gun bar. Like, I think of gun bars all the time, right? So I'm eating. Yeah, I think I'm sitting there eating, and I forget what it was, but I had came up with the rhyme scheme of drink bleach. The whole I didn't use this. The whole squad can get it like team sneaks, and then I thought of a bar. Like, I was like, I'll come, because you know how they call a gun a drum, right? And I thought like, somebody should be like, I come and drum in this flat like Wing Street. So a drum is also a chicken, and it's like drums are flats. You can get them on your whichever one. So I'm like, I wonder has anybody said that before, And then as I wrote that in my head and like just threw it down because it was creative, I can go back in and I can dress it up as like, okay, I really like the whole flat, it'd be in the house, you call it,
So it sounds like you do have just random bars that kind of hit you throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's rhyme schemes. Like it's just, like somebody says something like, like I said, like, team shoes or whatever. or something. We're talking, oh, he's got the team shoes. I'm like, oh, pink, blue, 3-2,
Oh,
or whatever it may be,
So,
and then kind of just,
so then you say, on the
play
contrary,
around with it in my
URL
head.
calls my phone every day. I know because I screen calls. But it's always the same. You got to do a PG, eh? Well, I guess this is where we tee off. So PGA and the golf, it was interesting that you touched on URL because so many people have been asking about that. So many people have been wondering, like, is A.ward going to be doing, why aren't you on URL yet? And obviously, even that was an angle Geechi took.
Yeah, and it was in my round, like he had mentioned in his second round, which is material that I liked because I liked it. I like direct material, and I like material that hasn't been used on me yet. He went into the angle of the you rather have eternal life or a smack battle, all that. So he had addressed it. So when I wrote that part, the bar was just URL calls my phone every day, But since he had already said that, it's just little words, that when you know your material, you can go ahead and just throw them in there. So like I try to throw in, on the contrary, like you just said, like the URL is not calling me for all these stuff. So I'm like, on the contrary, they hit my phone every day, So I turned the attitude of that bar, Like if I would have spit it just regular, I'd have been educating people. URL hits my phone every day, So when he's already mentioned it, I use on the contrary. I turn the attitude of the bar to rebuttal tone. Like on the contrary, man, they hit my phone every day, Like I'm talking to him.
And I think what's so dope about that is
intricacies of what you do in the ring.
Your ability to know your material so well gives you this leeway to kind of make these alterations on the fly. Whereas Geechi wouldn't have been able to do that because he had a hard time getting through his second and third, just period. Do you think that is more just how your brain kind of works? Like you've always been good at memorizing, or do you think it's preparation, or is it both?
No, it is. I've always been. Bro, if you ask me right now, I could probably spit my 3 Cortez rounds, like right now. Like, and that's just how it is in my head. Like I said, I do a lot of exercises and different things, but I'm memorizing stuff all the time because I'm always performing and doing spoken word events. Like I'll do literally like 45-minute sets at churches where I'm rapping, like doing spoken word for like 28 minutes. Like and it's just like all materials. Like Monk's round was impressive, but like I like that. That's the kind of stuff that I do.
That's
just rap, just keep rapping. Got it all memorized. And it makes it a lot easier. I always equate it to kind of like dribbling a basketball. Like, if you know how to, if you know where the ball is at all times and it gets away from you or whatever, you can bring it back and go here, and you can make people miss and stuff like that.
It becomes like muscle memory.
You just got to be so familiar with your handles that you know at all times, where it's at. You're not going to turn the ball over, Whereas if you're just up there, looking at the ball the whole time because you need to know, then the next time somebody tries to steal it, they're probably going to steal it because you don't, you're not fully
a couple of lines later, you go,
encompassed in
I'm
that
in
situation.
more than one battle too. Go ask Satan. And what I thought was interesting about that line is I think as a viewer, we expect you to kind of come with Christian bars all the time. And that was the first one we had heard. And I don't know if it's a whole battle, but for a while, is that something you consciously try to put in different places? Where you're like, okay, I want to sneak a line in here, or is it just like the rhyme pattern where you're like, hey, no, this would work?
No, it is. I'm meticulous with when I mention the faith. I don't like being overly Christian bars. I don't like it unless it's just a really dope angle or something like that. I like competing, with guys when it comes to just different topics and using creativity in different ways. In that particular segment, he had Shotgun Suge the next week. And so, I'm like, I got more than one battle too, and it was more like a little transparent moment.
Right.
Like, like life's at me right now, but I kind of just sprinkle them in where they need to be. You have to, I'm one person. I would say Christian battlers are probably, handicapped in the extent of having to play defense. You didn't hear Geechi have to say, "Oh, you're right, I sell weaves," but he doesn't have to say that. He doesn't have to defend selling weaves. You know what I mean? But Christian battlers, we have to if we don't, because the questions are so rhetorical,
Right.
In a sense, like chess is like, why do we got to go through hell to see heaven? Like he it was a haymaker, Well, if Saga didn't answer the question, because obviously he didn't premeditate knowing that he was going to ask that, so when you don't play defense, it strengthens those type of bars even more, So I have to sprinkle some of that stuff in and have to be ready to rebuttal because against a Christian rapper, those bars are just
inside
like
your
magnified
mind
by 10.
When someone's bringing up Christianity as an angle, which every rapper's done against you and all the rest of the Four Horsemen, are you doing an internal eye roll? Are you just like, oh, here we go again? Or are you just like, okay, yeah, I was expecting this. This is, hey, I put myself out like this. I kind of welcome this.
Yeah, no, I only eye roll when it's whack. Like, and that's just because I roll when it's like the same bars over and over. You'll see me eye roll against DNA when he's like the Adam and Eve or the Cain and Abel or the, like the most basic of Christian bars that have been said, the Losos, Saga, Street Hymns, all of us, So I'm a Christian, bro. I'm a Christian. Like, I love, like, when you approach the angle creatively. So against St. Mike, one of my favorite segments that's ever been used against me was when St. Mike was like, what A.ward's more known for is consumer relations. A little marketing tactic, and he kind of took the whole Christian thing and turned it into this, like, me trying to make money off of it. And like, it was just done so well,
Oh, yeah.
And like, that's to me is a crazy, the Holy Water Down by Real Deal. Ridiculous. Probably the best, probably the number one bar ever said against me to this day. And one of my favorites, so yeah. Just be creative and just don't take the easy route and be like, oh, you want to believe in God? Cool, I'm gonna shoot you. Now you can go see your father. Like every freaking rapper has said that.
Come on, man.
Franchise said it to me. I think DNA said it to me, and Gotti said it to me. Basically,
and
like,
that's funny, man. I saw you
I'll put him right
predicting
with God,
Gotti's bars quite a few times in this battle, man.
Yeah, I try not to be rude, but you got to play defense in certain ways, and because I'm not going to address it all, like I'll literally just show you.
So
like,
you
okay,
say
it's
exactly YTG. Shout out to Nestle and Mickey. It's all facts. Y'all allow these personalities to win battles off of the character while completely disregarding the have to rap part. Now, YTG, can we just talk about who that all is? So Nestle, Mickey. I know Bonnie, 100 Bullets. Is Mike P in there?
Yeah, Mike P, Born,
Saint, like S-A-Y-N-T,
Saint, and myself. It's actually a very S-A-Y-N-T, yeah. Yeah, it's actually a very different group of, and it's so awesome because I've grown to love these people all individually. Like, I've been in YTG since the Real Deal battle, or since right after the Real Deal battle. And man, we're just all from different places. We think differently. We're different types of artists, and it's just really cool. It's like a misfits group, It's just we're just like a bunch of
what is it
random
like
people,
being
and like they're literally
a
like
battle
family.
rap
like I love them
group?
people to death.
I know you're in the two. Does this just basically mean like these are people you run your bars from and get feedback from?
Yeah, I would say all groups are totally different. My Four Horsemen group is completely different from my YTG group. So there's not really like I'm in a battle rap group. Okay, let's all jump in a group chat and let's all just rap bars together and and then so YTG I joined YTG because I knew Mickey Fax was very, very talented artist when it came to music, and I knew that I could get some pointers and basically do some things there. I also knew that Mike P and Born at the time had a presence on URL, and so I'm like, okay, the promotion from my battles, if they're sharing them, they have decent names there. And then I got the 100 Bullets side and the Nestle side in Atlanta. There's just so many. Cover such a big demographic, of where you can promote your battle and who will co-sign you. And I mean, bro, none of these people rap the same. So like to pick up notes and advice and stuff like that from a bunch of people who one's Nestle who does multis, one's 100 Bullets who schemes. Born's one of the top punchers ever.
Really dope.
Mickey's, and so it just made
so this
sense.
next part you say, not I though. I get to show out to Bill Collector next. Not I show out versus Bill Collector. I was really surprised to see you versus Bill Collector. That is not a matchup I would have picked in 100 years. Like, no, how did that come about? Really?
Bill Collector is my favorite battle rapper, like for like about 3 years, like of all time. Yeah. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, like back when ringtones were cool, like that whole "I Got the Burner" was like my ringtone. Like, bro, I was literally like I would wait for a Bill Collector battle to drop. You know, we didn't have pay-per-view back then.
That's incredible.
So Bill Collector was literally a bucket list battle. I have a few bucket list battles, you know, and they're all odd. You know, like Frank Stacks, O'Shea, Bill Collector. Like, there's just like some very odd names on my bucket list because of certain times in my life. That's really interesting that you say that, man, because really just
those three,
what they do.
I mean, you're definitely in the jokes over bars category, and I wouldn't have expected that from you, man.
And and so Zim, Young Zim, he used to be called Young Zim. I think he's just called Zim now. Used to battle in Grind Time. He's a born again Christian, and so he actually had hit me up when I started battling. And was like, hey, man, you know, obviously I used to battle and I'm trying to get back into battle rap and, you know, I'm a Christian and, you know, this, that, and the third. And so we began building. And then he helps run. Okay. I don't know if he solely runs it or helps run that league. So just kind of being able to build with my brother.
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of being able to build with my brother in Christ and get the battle build
man, that's a really good question. Even I don't know, man.
I don't know when are you dropping this episode. I was going to say, I'm planning on being on Champions. I'm flying out 2 days early. So to go to Philly, So the goal is, to make it a 4-day event of where I can really do some networking, man. No, that'll be really dope to see you on Champion, man.
That'll be really dope to see you on it. Is it just you, or is Bill Collector coming out too, or how's that working?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I basically just hit up Black and Tech 9 and said these are the dates I'll be there. Originally, that was the weekend that was supposed to be the Summer Madness, but they got pushed back. So when it got pushed back, Black hit me back and said, "Yeah, we'll be working. You know, come up." So I don't know if it's if it's gonna be me and him type thing or just me. But,
I'm excited to see you on there, man. That's gonna be incredible.
Worth it as far
That's gonna be incredible.
All aspects of
I gotta jump ahead a little bit, or else I'm gonna keep you here all night, and I don't mean to do that. All right. So this, your slogan is, "When it's real, you can see it in their eyes." Makes a lot of sense. Yours stay closed when you rapping. And I pointed that out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Bro, quit with the limitations. You don't learn from your mistakes. You entertain them. So, all right. The question that I got in my mind for you, like while I'm watching this, because we're about to go down that rabbit hole right there, is when you were writing this, was there any concern of like how Geechi would take it?
Believe it or not, no. The only thing that I was concerned with was just making sure that it came off as not "I'm better than you," you know, like not like you're some you know criminal that can't do this, that, and the third, and you know you suck at life. Like the big concern, and like I prayed about the lines, I ran them by different people. The big concern was just a performance on it, and literally just slowing down the round, just looking at him and being like, bro, like as a man, beyond even Christianity, like even if you take me being a Christian away, like let's talk about some issues, and let's say something that is going to be very impactful in the ring, outside of the ring to Gotti, and even beyond Gotti. I've had so many people hit me up and say, I got people that are incarcerated, or I know people where I was that guy, like in and out of jail. And those lines like gave me chills just because, you're right, like you don't think about every other, repercussion that comes with your decision. You just think, oh, I'm not free anymore, So yeah, really the big thing was just making sure that I performed it and you got the feel to where like, I care about, him. Like I care about him as a person and care about,
and I think I did. So, one of the lines that really stands out, and this is when things really start to like heat up, is you got two sons that ain't tall enough to slap a backboard, but every week they was touching the glass of visitation. That line is incredible. How did you come up with that? So in my preparation for Gotti,
I was telling you, you were talking about earlier how I cut a lot of stuff. Like I probably had like a round and a half of material that I cut. You know,
wow, that's a
I
lot.
had like an extra 3 minutes of material that I just didn't use. So one thing, one thing about Gotti is,
right?
He has a Street Gangs documentary. Yeah. Have you seen it? Yeah, the Nutty Block. You know, 1 million views. You know, sure. Well, I watched the documentary, and at first I was gonna use like some angles about the documentary. But if you as you're watching the videos, you know, there's like a 3-part documentary. There's other videos, you know, and just as I was watching it, he was just talking about how he has 2 kids, you know, and how he was like the gang life, and how he was like, you know, if right. either of my sons think that they're going to choose this gang life, you know, like I'm going to tell them, no, this ain't for you, you know, type mentality. And it's just so weird. It's so backwards to me that it's like you're basically saying as an adult, I'm stuck in this and can never get out of it. But I would tell other people, like, don't ever do this.
And this is the point I wanted to get to. You talk about, you have a story of perseverance. You're free from that hell. You have the potential to impact people, teach them to excel. And during this whole segment here, with these lines that are just hitting, right? I can tell you're really,
my voice is just cracking.
Like you literally, and you may kind of, you know, like laugh and be like, you know, like my voice cracking. Yeah. But I mean, that's what makes it hit so hard, because it's like you can tell you care about it. You know, you're not trying to win a battle.
Yeah, it wasn't like a hold on, let me get my water because I need to get this out. You know, it was literally like you need to hear this. You know. And you know, the thing about it is I don't have the view on battle rappers that if you're out here talking about guns and stuff in your battles that you're like a detriment to society or something like that, you know. But there are certain people who identify 100% inside of battle rap and outside of battle rap and all their music and all of their everything that they do with that type of lifestyle, you know. And so when I'm going at that angle, I'm just like bro, like, the last thing I want to see is you. Even in the second round, when I said 38-45, I'm praying that you make it to those ages. Like we literally are discussing Mac Miller, who just passed away, XXX Tentacion, who just got robbed and shot. Like, and everything is just so. It's never real until it happens at your front door, you know, and it happens to somebody close to you, and it's just like, man, like. That lifestyle, like, I don't know how you can continue to be a part of it when bro, you have survived through a whole lot, probably way more than me.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, you know, the last thing you want to do is just go right back to it, you know? And so, no, I'm saying, so like, the lines themselves are just, they just go way beyond Gotti, because I have an older brother that's the same way. You know, I have a cousin, I have a friend that's the same way. It has, you know, it fits Gotti's agenda, but I literally said those lines so that some of the people that I love very dearly, and I can't just walk up to and say, you're a nutcase, why are you doing this? You know, not really like that, but like, so when they watch it,
you know,
maybe
so
it'll just prick their heart.
You talk like, in the very next line,
man, you know?
I know you want to change, but you go right back to the streets and then fail. They said I can't crack your armor. But tell me, what good is believability if it's obvious you don't believe in yourself?
You assume you're a product of your environment, and those were the cards. That's the hands you were dealt, and you have to just live with it, you know. And then twofold, you know, that's literally the one thing that I continue to hear about battling Gotti is like, how are you going to get through the fact that all he's got to do is just say some real stuff, and you know, and so I'm like in this angle, I wanted to end it. And even today, I wrestled with the fact I didn't know whether I wanted to end the round with the believability bar or the visitation bar, because I could have just flip flopped the 4, you know, and could have went, you know, believability. You don't believe in yourself, you know. Then, and the visitation bar is probably the best bar of the battle, and it hit harder. So I might have made an error a little bit there and not ending the round with it.
Well, okay.
But it wasn't a close round in my opinion.
Cut you off.
So I still think I won the round clearly.
I think that's actually a testament to who you are as a person, because you got the visitation line, which is, I mean, we both agree that is the bar of the battle, right? But you chose to do the believe in yourself line as the ender. And I'm speaking for you, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you chose to do that because you wanted it to hit more with him and to make an impact with him to possibly do some sort of change within him versus winning the battle.
Yeah, and I didn't want to leave it on a talking about your kids, you know, type mentality or whatever, and that's just all it was about. And so then I moved to just, you know, like, bro, like, I'm telling you, man, I talked to so many people who, I mean, and I do it myself. Everybody knows.
Right.
You get into a rough spot,
right,
and you're literally just like, all right, God, please, like, just get me out of this, and I promise, you know. And then even as a Christian, I'm so quick to just forget about that, and then just be right back in the same old mess again the next month, and then be right back to it, you know. So outside of just the whole jail side of it, it's just a occurrence with all of us, you know. Everybody can't stand Christian battle rappers until their mom's in the hospital, and then they're tweeting like, "Hey, keep us in prayer," you know. And that's like, you know, I hate you, you should never be in battle rap. And then it's just like, hey, I need prayers. Like, hey, you know, and it's just like, and I'm not one to say like, you know, that, I mean, I get it, you know, but I'm at the same time, like, we know, like, in our hearts, like, if you don't believe in God, maybe not, but if you believe in God.
You finish it
then,
talking about
you know,
Joe, Ryder, and
like
Jack. So, are these, all them bumps, they got a hearse and it fits them. So is that someone we might expect to see you do a PG with?
So that was just me sending the messages like, you know, they call, they ask about the PGs, they, you know, they text, people, all of the URL staff, except for Smack, you know, I've met him, but I've never spoken to him on the phone. You know, it's always filling out like, hey, you know, do you want to come do a PG? You know, I mean, I'm not going to get away from having to do a PG.
Ends up
even
happening
Loso
with you,
and B-Dot's
honestly.
glorified PGs were PGs. So it's basically me just, and it's basically me just saying like, okay, I told somebody else this the other day, you know, there's 3 or 4 different levels of sacrifice that you have to do when you go take this battle. 1, you have to sacrifice the money, you know, because I get paid the battle right now, and I'm not going to get paid for this battle.
Right.
2, I have to sacrifice the type of opponent, you know. Right now, like you said, I could get Chilla Jones.
Right.
Or, you know, they want me to go battle Joe Schmo from, you know, We Go Hard or whatever, you know. And 3, I have to sacrifice the event. You know, right now I could be battling on Decade. Now you want me to battle in the Honeycomb Hideout, you know, against, you know, so there's these steps down that they make you sacrifice. And basically what I'm saying is like, yo, we're going to have to meet halfway. Like, I'm not calling you for a PG. That's not me. I'm not calling you and saying, I need this. Please just give me a chance. Like 99% of these other guys are. You're getting tagged and you're calling me. So let's meet halfway. So I'm like, Joe called me out against Bourne. Young Cannon called me out against Mike P. You know, my name's always in people's mouth, you know, and so I'm just like, hey, you know, set one of these up. We can call it a PG, whatever, you know, or I'll take somebody lower than Joe, Jack, and Ryder, but make sure that I'm opening up a bigger card, you know? Make sure that, you know, you're going to have to meet me halfway, you know, especially if I'm going to, you know, not get paid and take, you know,
and to be fair, man, I cannot imagine. I mean, I cannot imagine to be the
best rounds I've ever
Beasley,
written.
Smack, P, Norbs, any of those guys being like, all right, so we got this new guy, you know, battle rap duck. Let's throw him at A.ward. They're going to give you a name. Now, maybe like a PG name, like this Joe, Ryder, Jack. But those are like high level PG names that are like almost, well, I mean, Ryder's doing a battle at this strike 2.5 card. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, those are at least names. You know what I mean? And I cannot imagine. Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think Ryder's a little bit above the other 3. I think Joe is probably the most attainable one, just because I mean his biggest battles have been PGs, and then his main stage battle against Bourne, he didn't really like wow anybody. And he doesn't use social media to his advantage. So like Jack Boy, he really doesn't have many battles that have catapulted him to the next level. But Jack Boy talks so much trash. He's on the Goonies. He's like a part of all of these interviews. His stock and his buzz is higher because he has a presence in battle rap, you know. But like But like Ryder, Ryder's definitely,
Man.
He should never have to battle me, on a PG card. That would be disrespectful to Ryder.
Right. Hey, you may not know this, man. You are now a million viewed battler. So, and you know what? I know that's the first time that you heard that, because right before you called, I went on Verse Tracker and I hit the recalculate button, because you were at like 999,000 views, whatever. And I hit the recalculate and it redid it, and you are now at 1,004,259 views. That's a million from the
that's
mud.
Super dope, man. Look, when you talking about earlier getting them from the mud, I get them from the mud, bro. Maybe the
Sure.
DNA battle, you could say like he carried it heavily, like in regards to the views, because that's my most viewed battle. But every other battle, like, it's not because, let's be honest, you put Jack Boy, Joe, these guys on URL, they're getting 200,000 views because it's URL. You know what I mean? So me, like, man, I'm in other countries. I'm promoting all of my small league battles. I'm making sure they're over, a certain amount of views.
Congrats to you. Hey, man, they're calling the time on us, man. You know what, A.ward? I could talk to you at least for 2 days straight. We got all your battles to go through, man.
All right, man.
I would love to do it because I'm such a big fan, man. But
I'm glad you called me on a free
thank you
night,
so
bro.
much for doing this, man. This means the world to me. This is the greatest thing that's happened to me in my life
you, bro.
to this point. All right.
You're hilarious, bro.
Man.
Hey, do me a favor, man, and tell your family, your sister, and
Absolutely,
I
man.
appreciate
Hey, thank you
those
so
words,
much,
man.
A.ward, and God bless, man.
Messages like that are the reason I do it, bro. All right, bro. Be easy.